Oakland, a town with a rich, long history that predates its founding in 1695. A proud town nestled in the Ramapo Mountain Valley, where historic homes are surrounded by familiar icons that include the Ponds Memorial Church, founded in 1710, the Van Allen House. This 18th century farmhouse secretly served as the county seat, securing documents after British troops burned Hackensack during the Revolutionary War. Undeniably, the most identifiable of these landmarks sits majestically overlooking Veterans Park. It is the Oakland Public Library. The library has seen many changes over the decades. At the turn of the century, Franklin Avenue residents shared books with neighborhood children. Many located in some of the homes of prominent Oakland citizens with familiar names as Charles Sheffield, Henry Hopper, and also in the Page office building. Ten years later, in 1910, Mayor Edward Page names a library committee with the first librarian hired in 1929 with a salary of $10 a month. Later, in 1936, the Ponds Memorial Building was built as a replica of the 1829 Old Ponds Dutch Reformed Church and served as a community center, housed the local government, and community functions. The building structure is unique. It is made of stone with thick outside walls and some red sandstone corner blocks that date back to 1740. Supportive columns used for this building are columns that were used in the Old Ponds Church. Then in 1939, the library was located above the old Yaupo firehouse. In 1962, the Ponds Memorial Building is dedicated as the new public library, with the expansion of the mezzanine level added 25 years ago in 1976. People active in the quest to ensure the quality of services provided by the library developed a plan in 1994 to upgrade the existing structure, the new elevator, and entrance. This marked the beginning of the long-range improvements and expanded on the programs offered to the community. In 1998, Oakland voters passed a referendum to modernize the library, and in 2001, the Library Growth Foundation was formed to raise the remaining funds needed to proceed with the construction project. Over the coming months, OKTV Productions will help showcase the people involved with fundraising and providing the public with information on how the expansion plans will affect services and the general progress of this long-awaited community project. We hope you will join in to help make the library expansion a monumental success by supporting the various fundraising events scheduled in the near future. Join us now as OKTV and the Library Growth Foundation of Oakland bring the latest news on library expansion and fundraising events coming your way. Please join by helping.
Hello, I'm Terry Casaleggio, a member of the Library Growth Foundation of Oakland. The foundation is spearheading a drive to raise an additional $250,000 for the proposed expansion to our library. The theme of our fundraising effort is Build Today for Tomorrow's Children. Tonight we present the first in a series of programs concerning that expansion, the expansion of our beloved library. You'll hear from the members of the foundation and some members of the library board as they present to you, the citizens of Oakland, a bit of history, past and present, a look into the future, and the steps we must take to achieve the goal of a beautiful, enriching library that will benefit our children and ourselves for many years to come. I know you'll find our program interesting and exciting. I'd like to make a special note. The original music for this program was written by Kaveh Sadegian. Kaveh is a Valley Middle School student and a Juilliard School of Music aspirant. Kaveh is one of 1,800 of our children and grandchildren who will directly benefit from the effort to expand our library. So join me now as some of your neighbors who care so very much and who have given of their time and energies take you on the journey to a magnificent library for Oakland. Now for a view of the library's past, present, and future, here's OKTV producer Al DiGiacomo with some very special guests.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the library. I'm Al DiGiacomo. OKTV is proud to have been asked to participate in the production of this important video series so that our Access Television audience can see the next chapter unfold in the history of the Oakland Library. In the months to come, the OKTV cameras will capture key events from the upcoming groundbreaking ceremonies to the new dedication of this long-awaited expansion. We hope you find this entertaining as well as informative. In this segment, we're going to hear about the history behind the Oakland Public Library, all part past, present, and future. To help guide us, we have three distinguished guests who share a deep commitment to the project. We have John Murphy, a former library board member and current trustee of the Library Growth Foundation. Connie Monks, a lifelong resident of Oakland, a woman who has witnessed the vast transformations of Oakland and in the Oakland Public Library over the years. And Judy Hughes Gray, current president of the Oakland Historical Society and another longtime Oakland resident who has dedicated countless hours to public service. Judy is also a guiding force behind the recent start of the historic Stream House restoration and brings a wealth of information to our forum. This is my favorite part of the program, so let's begin. John, can you tell us why the Library Growth Foundation is interested in the history of the library?
The foundation believes that an important part of its fundraising campaign is to give Oakland residents a better awareness of the wonderful history of Oakland and its library. The library's important role in the life of Oakland is due to the dedication and support of many Oakland residents, past and present. In light of the events in the past few months, it is more important than ever to understand and appreciate the institutions and people that have built and maintained our culture and values. Also, the expanded library building will have a local history room dedicated to preserving and presenting the history of Oakland and the area around Oakland. This room will be located in this area right in front of this wonderful mural. Some of the money raised by the foundation will be used to furnish the room. When the library first moved into this building, it had a local history collection in the library. The library board wants to restore that function so Oakland residents can fully appreciate Oakland's rich history. This will be done jointly with the Oakland Historical Society.
That sounds wonderful, John. Let's kind of bring this conversation over to Connie Monks. Connie, how long have you lived in Oakland, and can you describe some of the early events in the life of the Oakland Library?
Well, I've actually lived here since 1929, but in 1900 was the first recorded loaning out of books by Mrs. Louise Sheffield, a local resident who loaned her own books to the neighborhood children and so forth. And Mrs. Sheffield had been a former school teacher, and her husband Charles had been on the Oakland School Board. The Sheffield homestead was on Ramapo Valley Road, which we then called Oakland Avenue, near the railroad tracks, and it's at the intersection of West Oakland Avenue. And their home is still standing and is 413 Ramapo Valley Road.
And here we can see a few pictures of the yesteryear shots of
Oh, good.
the Sheffield.
Good.
Could you tell us about what happened in 1910 with Mayor Ed Page?
Well, Mayor Page appointed 15 residents to committees to organize and operate a library, and Mrs. Sheffield was one of those. Then in 1920, two sisters, Louise and Hattie Van Wagener, became the first library hostesses, they were called, and set aside a room in their home on Powder Mill Lane as the library. Their collection grew with gifts and so forth from friends and neighbors. And then in 1923, it was moved to the Annie Myers home, now known as the 410 building, 410 Ramapo Valley Road.
So this has been an ongoing community effort
Yeah.
through the community of raising the educational facilities, even when there was no building.
Right.
I think that's kind of a fascinating thing of the past where you had to do it somehow. And I guess in our modern day, this is what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Okay, we also have some more of these pictures from the past here. In 1926, can you tell us a little bit about Mrs. Henry Hopper?
Well, Mrs. Hopper became the hostess, and the collection was moved into her home, which was across the street from the Valley School on Ramapo Valley Road.
And that's the current Board of Education building.
Well, that part of it is, yes. Yeah. I still call it all the Valley School.
Okay. Let's bring the conversation to President of the Oakland Historical Society, my friend Judy Hughes Gray. Judy, can you kind of pick up the story from here and kind of tell us a little bit about what happened after the years of 1929?
Surely. In 1929, the library's collection grew to 1,000 volumes and needed more space. Doesn't that sound familiar? So it was moved to the first floor of the dairy office on Page Hill, which is now Franklin Avenue. Today, it is known as the Stream Building next to the Van Allen House. The Oakland Historical Society has a restoration project underway to save this historic building.
Boy, were there any earlier pictures from? I see a lot of pictures from the current condition of the Stream House. Do we have anything that kind of predates?
Well, I'll have to get that to you. I think you have some.
There we go. Okay,
Let's look at
and
those.
let's see. The Page Office building continues.
Okay, this dairy office was one of the original buildings on the vast estate of Edward Page. During the 1920s, the estate was owned by a Catholic seminary who permitted the town to use the library in the Stream Building. In 1929, the borough paid $100 to support the library and paid the librarian $10 a month. The library also received funds from contributions, social events, and book rental fees. From what we're told, ill health forced Mrs. Hopper to give up the post of town librarian shortly after the move to the Stream Building, so Mrs. Henry P. Demarest became the librarian, and in June of '32, the library was moved to her home at 277 Ramapo Valley Road, which is the current home of Bill Potash family. The library board paid $15 a month to use this space.
That's great. And let's see. We'll go back to Connie on this one. Connie, did the library collection continue to reside in private homes at this point in our history?
Not actually. In 1933, Mrs. Demarest resigned, and a new home was needed. The library board received permission from the school board to use a classroom that wasn't needed at the time. They moved into that in 1934, which they tell us was the former kindergarten wing. During the school year, the library was open to the public twice a week, on Tuesday evenings and Friday afternoon. High school girls and volunteers helped the librarian then. But then in December of 1935, it shows there was 154 cardholders, of which 82 were regular borrowers, and approximately 1,700 books circulated that year.
That's a lot of books there. And in 1939, there was the mayor and council had notified that the North Wing room was again
They
needed for
it back.
classes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move this back to John Murphy. John, around this time the library was once again moved. Where did the library go after that?
In 1910, the original Yawpaw Avenue Firehouse was built approximately at the location of the parking lot across from the current Yawpaw Firehouse. The volunteer fire department was given exclusive use of the building by the council, with the exception that part of the second floor was to be reserved for future use by the library. In late 1939, the librarian and the library board members moved all the books to a 600 square foot room on the second floor of the firehouse. During the 1940s, the library's book collection was less than 4,000 volumes. Also during the 40s, Oakland's population doubled from a little over 900 to slightly over 1,800, but its circulation figures were not growing at the same rate. In 1951, the library board asked Mrs. Florence Ridley, a professionally trained librarian, to become the temporary library director. Mrs. Ridley had recently retired from the Brooklyn Public Library. During Mrs. Ridley's temporary tenure as library director from 1951 to 1963, many significant changes occurred in the library. The collection was inventoried and converted to the Dewey Decimal System. The book inventory, circulation, hours of operation, and staffing were increased along with borough appropriations. A children's story hour was instituted and programs were initiated to encourage library use by school children. In January 1956, the Borough Council issued a certificate of organization for the Oakland Free Public Library after a public referendum supported that action. And in 1961, after several requests by Mrs. Ridley and the Library Board, the Mayor and Council approved the renovation of the Ponds Memorial Building to be the new home of the library. On April 14, 1962, the library was formally opened and dedicated in this new location.
This is really something. I mean, the history of this library is just fantastic. I really hope that the public really responds favorably to this. This is the next step of our growth here.
Right.
Connie, what else can you tell us about the history of the Ponds Memorial Building?
Well, history shows it was dedicated on July 17, 1937, and it had been built in a replica of the 1829 Church of the Ponds that stood at Ramapo Valley Road and Long Hill intersection near where Portobello's is located. The Ponds Memorial Building was constructed by the Works Progress Administration to serve as a community and government center. At one time, the borough offices, the police department, council meetings, civil defense offices, and community activities, including 2 bowling lanes in the basement. The building structure is unique. It's made of native stone and thick outside walls. Some red sandstone corner blocks from the 1740 Church of the Ponds are used here. The weather vane was originally used on the 1829 church.
That's great. Boy, the pictures and the drawings that we have from this is really something. I'm glad that we have the Historical Society that chronicles these pictures that we could use in our video. John, can you tell us about the subsequent changes made to the library since 1970?
In June of 1970, after several studies and much discussion to provide more space in the library, the Borough Council approved funds for renovating the library basement so it could house the children's department and a meeting room. In 1971, the renovation was completed and the children's department was moved downstairs. In 1976, a mezzanine floor was added to provide more space for the library, and in October 1998, An elevator was added as a preliminary stage before the current library expansion.
Okay, John, are there plans for increasing our access to more of Oakland's history?
I first want to say how indebted we are for the historical information collected by Ryerson Vert in her book Valley of Homes. Shirley Kern and Eleanor Little in their book The Years Between, Alexander Potash in his book Over the Years 1902 and 1998, and the Oakland Public Library Yesterday and Today, compiled by Ruth and Irving Bush and Sarah Swanson. Mrs. Ruth Sheffield Bush is the daughter of Mrs. Louise Sheffield, who started the library in 1900. This will be a joint project with the Oakland Historical Society. We urge all viewers of this program who have more information on the material, on the history of the Oakland and the Oakland Public Library to contact the Oakland Public Library or the Historical Society or the Library Growth Foundation. We are looking especially for interior pictures showing the library and its various locations, and any pictures showing the construction of the Pons Memorial Building, renovations of the library, and the construction of the library mezzanine. We are also looking for names and pictures of all past library directors and library board members.
Well, that brings us to the end of our segment. Our thanks to John Murphy, Connie Monks, and Judy Hughes-Gray for providing a very interesting and detailed description of our library, highlighting the chronicles of our community. Now let's turn things over to Ronnie Levine and Jerry Schreier, who will focus in on the current needs of the Oakland Public Library.
Anyone who has come into the Oakland Public Library knows of our building's beauty and charm, both inside and out. Many know of our long history, but anyone who has actually come in to use the library knows that in spite of those things, the library suffers from severe space shortages that significantly impact the quality of service we've been able to provide for Oakland residents in recent years. As a result, although county-wide library use is up, Oakland residents are often forced to go to neighboring libraries for their library needs. And while on the surface this may seem to be a good solution, in actuality it's somewhat different, because although other libraries are available for our patrons' use, their primary responsibility is to their own local patrons, and the needs of the Oakland residents who are using their facility come secondary. For instance, if you wish to borrow a book from another library, you may do so only if their local patron does not request it first. Otherwise, you must wait. So it isn't the perfect solution for our community. Board President Jerry Schreier, who's also a member of the Library Growth Foundation, and myself would like to tell you a little bit about the severe problems facing our library.
As a children's librarian myself, the first thing is the children's department, which is held right now in the basement of our building. The lighting is poor, very few spaces where children can make themselves available to some of the equipment and reading materials that they can read there. There is no quiet space whatsoever. Our shelves are full, thank God, and we are busy keeping our books on carts for them. There is very little space for them to do children's programs, so we are limited to the number of children that can come at any special time to be part of a program. Our next big problem is our computer area, which is in the center of our building, right in front of the circulation desk. So it is, needless to say, it is not quiet. It is a poorly lit space for any kind of research material. There's no place to put your books to do it. Unfortunately, was a small space where we had our card catalog and had to give it up so we could put our computers in, but it's not big enough to do research. The next big problem is in 1976, when we added on to the building, our circulation has increased from them to 85%, which means that as the new book comes in, we have to weed an old book. Our classics cannot be kept on the shelves like we would like. If you want to get a book to read to your children that was very important to you, we no longer can find it here because the space is limited. So this new edition will be really worthwhile, and we're all looking forward to it.
Our vision is very broad and our needs are very great, but our space is very limited. We need additional space for a young adult collection. We need more space for an expanded reference section, an expanded periodical section. We need a better and quieter place for an adult reading area. We desperately need a place for books on tape, videotapes, CD-ROMs, and almost as importantly, we need office space. Our staff now that does such a wonderful job functions from staff rooms and offices that are antiquated, crowded, and absolutely inefficient in terms of space utilization. Our library director should have an office that is more centrally located and more accessible. We need a good multi-purpose room in which we can continue to offer a wide variety of adult, children, and community programs. We are tremendously excited about the project in front of us. We've worked hard to develop plans that will give us all the room we need without impacting the architectural character of the building we presently love so much. And we are looking forward to starting our expansion very shortly. Our library director, Tom Coyle, will tell you more about some of the improvements that lie ahead.
Hi, my name is Tom Coyle. I'm fortunate to be the director of the Oakland Public Library. I have long felt that a community can be measured by the success of its library. Oakland has measured up very well. In order to ensure that we continue to measure up well, we must improve our library. You have heard that our library building goes back to the year 1936. Let us enhance and expand our library to ensure that it remains exciting and vibrant and a benefit to our community. We owe this to those who have preceded us, and we owe it to those who will follow us. Our present library is approximately 9,000 square feet. We hope to double this to 16,000 feet, benefiting all departments of the library, adult, young adult, as well as the very important children's section. A famous British educator once said, "Libraries are not made, they grow." Won't you help us grow? Come grow with us. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, my name is Cheryl Piccoli. Being a trustee on the Oakland Library Board as well as the Ramapo Indian Hills Regional High School District Board of Education, I know full well how important literacy and the gathering of information is in education in molding our young and old into bright, intelligent, productive people. In my opinion, we need to update our facilities as well as our collections in order to help our brightest achieve more, as well as our special people in our community who struggle with the everyday written word to have the resources to help them succeed as well. This is truly an exciting time for our community, and I respectfully ask each and every Oakland resident, as well as our business owners, to give careful thought and consideration into making a donation to this worthwhile cause. I know my husband, Mayor Piccoli, and I are truly looking forward to Oakland's public library to become the premier center of knowledge within our community. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello. I've been asked today by the library fundraising group to explain a little bit about how the library plan was conceived, designed, and financed, and then talk a little bit about the current status. My name is Pete Kendall. I've been involved with the expansion program for quite some time. About 3 or 4 years ago, the library board came to the mayor and council and said, we have a problem in that our library is not big enough and needs some expansion. The mayor and council said, fine, come up with a plan and we'll talk about it. So the library board went out and visited other libraries. They hired an architect out of their own funds to come up with a conceptual plan. They came back with this plan to the mayor and council, and the mayor and council said, yes, we're interested. Go get some community input and decide what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. So what the library board did then is they sent out a mailing to people in the borough to get people to be on a focus group to help plan how the library was going to be designed and what facilities it needed. This focus group was made up of a number of organizations. They had frequent users, heavy users, occasional users, business owners, community groups, senior groups, schools, and I think they had 3 just miscellaneous groups. These groups went out, talked to people, got information, came back and made proposals to the library that were accumulated in this focus group summary and came out with some details of where they should go and what recommendations they should have. The library board then hired the architect to come up with a more preliminary design. Go from a conceptual design to a preliminary design to take all these in and present something and have it ready for the mayor and council. They brought this to the mayor and council, and the mayor and council agreed that it was a good concept and that they would put a referendum up to the public voters in town to decide if they wanted a library. So now it was the library board tasked to decide how to let the residents know about this project. One of the ways they did is they did many, many mailings. They did a general mailing to 4,500 people talking about the future of the library and what it should be and how their concept was. They sent out bookmarks to everyone that came to the library saying vote yes on the referendum. They posted posters throughout the town and had fact sheets and flowcharts to let people understand and know where we were going. Then this group of project volunteers broke down into a number of groups and went out and talked to people. They made presentations to preschools, to the Heights, Manitou, and Dogwood, and the Valley, to senior organizations. Everything with the intent was to let people understand what this proposal was on the library. Then, come November 3rd of 1998, there was a public question put on the ballot. And that public question said, should the borough of Oakland expend approximately $2,550,000 for the expansion and modernization of the library? The results were excellent. The voting results said, yes, we're interested. 64% of the people that voted said they wanted to have this expansion. With that information, the mayor and council then in August of '99 introduced an ordinance and passed an ordinance, ordinance number 99-362, that was approved by the mayor and council for $2,550,000. At that time, they suggested to the library board that the library board should show intent by raising some money of their own from town residents to show interest in this. And they requested that the library board raise $250,000 on their own for this project. The library board agreed, and this is part of the introduction of that project. Now, where are we now, and what is our current status? Well, as you see here, the construction in, right after we introduced this, the state of New Jersey came out with construction bond funding. They hadn't done that for about 10 or 15 years, but they came out with a bill that said they would help fund construction of libraries. That bill was introduced in February of '99 in the Assembly. In August of '99, it was signed by Governor Whitman, and at that time, the town put the project on hold. Why'd they put it on hold? Because the terms of the grant said you could not be in construction phase and get the grant. So the town wanted to wait to have the opportunity to get additional money from the state. In July of 2001, the state started accepting applications. So that same month, the Oakland Library, with the approval of the mayor and council, submitted a request for a grant for $800,000. Now, where do we stand on that? We expect relatively soon to have the notification from the state that that grant was awarded. And we have preliminary information from the newspapers that says that grant would be in the neighborhood of $700,000, one of the highest grants within the state of New Jersey. Now, with that grant, what happens? Well, bid specifications for the library were sent out May of this year. In July of this year, the bid specs came back. In November or December, sometime soon, we expect to be notified from the state that the grant was awarded to us. Once that happens, then the mayor and council will take the steps to approve construction and decide exactly how the money is to be spent. So today we are talking about a letter that you should be receiving sometime soon from the library fund, basically saying that we want your participation, we want you to understand what you're doing, and we hope that when you see this letter you will respond favorably and help the library meet its commitment to the $250,000 they're trying to raise. If by chance they should raise more, the money would go into the library for additional services that this town would have. I thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, I'm sure you can contact our organization and we'll be happy to answer them. And you'll see us soon coming out visiting you and explaining this project in detail.
If you want some information or you need some stimulation, check it out. Grab a book. Check it out. Take a look. If you have a fascination for the world of aviation, check it out. Exploration. Check it out. Earth's rotation. If you like exciting stories, royal riches, ancient glory, check it out. Mystery. Check it out. History. Fact or fiction. Good narration. Food for thought or inspiration. Check it out. Grab a book. Check it out. Have a look.
How come the sun shines?
Well, long ago, it was so dark, cold, and lonely.
Did we cry?
Yes, but the sun heard us crying, and it shone brighter to see what was going on.
And then it was bright enough?
No, but when all the people and animals looked up and saw the beautiful sun, they laughed and were thankful. That made the sun burst out laughing too, and then it was bright enough.
And will it still be laughing in the morning?
Yes.
Thank you, Kavi. Well, welcome back to the show. It seems that we've come up with a little bit of time at the end of our show, and I thought it would be very apropos to have a few words with our musical guests for our soundtrack of the Oakland Public Library, past, present, and future. We have Kavi Sadagian. Kavi, thank you so much for supplying the music score for our video.
Thanks. Yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really. It was fun.
Let's tell us a little bit about yourself. How old are you, Kavi?
11.
And you're a Valley Middle School student?
Yeah.
And you're aspiring to attend Juilliard?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I auditioned, and I'm going to be making my second audition soon. I think it's for the classes. I'm not totally sure yet, or they might move me to next year, for since they might not have enough room for me. So I'm looking forward to it. It would be like every, I think, Saturday or Sunday, or in the weekend.
Is you do a lot of rehearsing on a daily basis to hone up your abilities, knowing that you're going to Juilliard? Or have a possibility of going to Juilliard?
Yeah, I'm trying a lot because I have a lot of stuff to do too. I'm having a concert in my school, and I have to play a song for my school, and then there's going to be some other stuff too that I have to practice for. So I'm having a couple concerts for my mom too.
Great. Do you think that the project with the library expansion, how do you feel it would affect people of your age? Would you think it'd be a great benefit?
Yeah, definitely. Because, like, kids, a lot of them come to the library after school from my school, since it's so close to Valley Middle School. That's why I think they would like it a lot, because first of all, it would be bigger, and second of all, they would have like a more like there would be more books for their projects or for things like that to help them with their school and education and stuff. So I think they would like it a lot too, and with all the new stuff that would be adding onto it, the little kids would like going in there too, like in the hallway and. That's
right. The new children's section to the library.
Yeah.
Now I know that you were you actually didn't write the score, but you're very improvisational with it. Yeah. You just like to sit to the keyboard and let your feelings go forward. When you're being improvisational like that, where do your thoughts wander to? I'm kind of interested in your inspiration.
Well, I don't really. I just sit down. It mostly starts like when I'm in a sort of, I don't know, silent, cold place, I guess you could say. And then it just happens. It's just I don't think about anything. It comes from
someplace within, and all of a sudden you get that feeling, and it comes out.
Yeah, I get the first part, and then I keep on adding to it until it gets like a big piece.
Well, you did a wonderful job with that, and it really has added some true inspiration and life to our video. Yeah. And I want to thank you so much here. So as we go out, would you like to kind of pick up with something and kind of give us a little trailer music to our next segment?
Sure.
Wonderful.
Okay. Great.
Thank you again, Kavi.
Okay, thanks.
Years, caring Oakland citizens have worked to provide a library system. Think of the incalculable enrichment the library has provided for young and old alike over the years. You, the viewers of our program, and your children will be the beneficiaries of a newly expanded and improved library of the future. In these times, a good library is more important than ever, both as a center for intellectual expansion and as a center of culture and understanding of our world. Our sense of community must be stronger since September 11th. We need to be more involved, more informed, and more connected. In the next few weeks, you'll be receiving an envelope On the front of the envelope will be a picture of a child. The child is intently reading a book. Please do your part by opening this envelope, reading the letter contained inside, filling out the detachable form, and mailing your tax-deductible contribution to the Library Growth Foundation. Every dollar you can afford to send will be used to provide enhancements to the proposed expansion. We must all participate to raise $250,000. We can do it, we must do it, and we will do it. And look for the thermometer on Valley Road at the corner of West Oakland Avenue and see the progress our drive is making over the next months, thanks to yours and your neighbors' generosity and foresight. Build today for tomorrow's children. Yes, let's build it, and rest assured, they will come. Thank you, and good night.
I had home, I'd have you over, I'd make you coffee, I'd share my bread. If I had home, I would not be lonely, you'd be my company. If I had a home, I'd know where I belong, and I know I'll get there before long, and I'll cook spaghetti just for you, and I'll let you stay in my spare room. If I had a discussions, talk round a table, some wine and cheese. If I had a home, I'd have an address, I could get letters addressed to me. If I had a home, I'd sleep in a great big bed with a big fluffy pillow underneath my head. I'd have nice warm slippers on my feet, and I would not leave would not be here now on this cold sidewalk, watching people pass by. If I had a home, I would make your life better. I'd buy you flowers, so please don't cry. If I had a home, I'd know where I belong, and I know I'll get there before long, and I'll cook spaghetti just for you, and I'll let you stay in my spare room. If I had a home, 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 if I had a home.
Where's that, the old firehouse?
Who's that? Library upstairs.
Yeah. Where's Artie Steele? Is he there too?
You might see him. Is that Frank Caparuso in a plaid shirt?
They look like you, Bob. What's that?
Could have been me, but,
That was Art Steele, his father.
Jesus.
They owned the...
Trying to figure out who owned the cars in those days, what cars.
Yeah, that's how you could tell by the car, right?
Good dead, my mind is dead. Now, he comes out, they're coming out, going by, coming out of Yorkport, they're to turn in.
That's already
The
sealed
old,
in the back.
Station house.
station house, there, now watch it. It stops. Yeah. This is filmed from where the flag passed.
I don't see the Brindle's Hotel.
There it is.
There it is.
Opposite that.
That's already
It's
on the
opposite,
corner.
right?
The old man. Garden State Farms wasn't there.
No.
That was Brindle's
That was
Hotel.
yeah.
Brindle's Hotel, that was where
It
the
was right opposite
Catholic
Seals.
Soccer had a school there.
Yeah.
He had the school classes.
Was
That
the
was
one
just
that
before
got
you
killed?
left. It's rented, sir.
Parking. Go to Greenwood Lake, you know how everybody used to go to Greenwood Lake
That's right.
for drinking?
That's for sure. Frank Lehman's the big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Years ago? Who's the little guy?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I can't
we
see.
could have stopped it, you know, at that point maybe.
I did. Because I knew him good. He was a good guy, you know.
Al Perrin would.
The guy that killed, wow.
Do you remember that?
You gotta walk. He's always going to the toilet, that guy. Trying to figure out who that guy was.
That's Joe.
We studied long enough and read that list, I'd pick him out.
Yeah, you can, because you know the other names that were on here.
Pick him right out.
If you had to list the name, it'd be easy.
That's how.
Oh, yeah. There's the chief. Two of them. That's it.
Oh,
Who's that?
Johnny Babelar.
That's a good picture, those two.
Got another
There you
one.
go.
Johnny Babelar.
Yeah, he was. He was chief for a long time.
Yeah.
Where the heck did Bonnie go?
Who's that?
don't
She just
film
went
it.
outside.
Huh?
She went outside.
not very hospitable, but there's
See, every time we watch it, we pick a new guy out now.
Sit down.
It's all right,
Don't
I'll
worry.
sit down.
Jesus,
You're
Frank,
right.
you know.
Watch out.
You're right.
That chair will fool you.
That's why we got you guys over here today,
Ah,
because you had
alrighty.
identified them.
We got quite a lot of them.
Yeah, we did all right, you know.